Thanks for tuning in to the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. I am Josh Roop. We are on episode 110. With me, my other host.
The Chewbacca to your Han Solo, Scott Larson.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of Slam Tilt lately.
Yeah.
And
I know it's awesome. Ron's the host and Bruce is the co-host. Yes.
Yes, but
trust me, I'm surprised you haven't picked up on that before.
Yeah, but in the last couple of episodes, it's very distinct that Ron is the host and Bruce is the other host, not the co-host, the other.
Oh, see, I'm okay with being a sidekick. It's okay. It's all good. You do the editing, and so I'm good with that. If I got to do the editing, I'm good.
Oh, okay. So I got a call yesterday. FedEx called me. Iron Maiden Pro is going to be at my house on Friday.
Woo-woo.
I'm so excited. I called Zach Meny. He helped me go through the whole process. Man, it is painless every time I use Flipping Out Pinball. If you're not using Flipping Out Pinball, you're just causing yourself more headache. Really, that's what it comes down to. The shipping's smooth. The games show up pristine. I don't know how Zach does it, but he does it. It's great. And at the end of June, my Foo Fighters is showing up. So
yeah,
I'm stoked. And maybe I won't have to worry about Deadpool because I heard that production-wise, it got pushed back.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But if you're looking for that next pinball machine, if you're looking for a Godzilla topper, if you're looking for some of those sweet accessories, give Zach and Nicole Meny at Flipping Out a call, or like we do, hit them up through Facebook and send them messages. Be kind though. Don't message them at like 2 a.m. It does happen. And I think
I will say I have been guilty about sending him messages at random times because my call schedule is so weird. But
yes.
But I totally get it. Yeah. I also have another Flipping Out Pinball story. So my friend who has that premium Bally Williams collection, he sold his house, and so he moved. And I've got a terrible right wrist right now that has been healing. I heard it playing tennis, and it's been a while. So I went over to his house, and he had these guys that were like, 22 and looked like they escaped the Jersey Shore extra group. And they were so they were carrying up all these games from his basement, around the back, and it was huge. Shipped them over to his new house, but his new house, he's moving to a very small house that has a staircase that has a left-hand turn. And we were thinking, well, okay, so I brought my Escalera and 5 pinball machines down the stairs with a 90-degree turn in there in 45 minutes.
Nice.
And so, man, if you have not used one of these things, it is totally worth it. It's only a Mandalorian topper. Thank me later. Definitely ask Zach and Nicole if you are looking for easy ways of moving machines.
Definitely. And I agree with you. That's the only way to go. I have a couple appliance dollies. I have an actual pinball dolly because I don't have stairs between my pinball machines and the outside. So I don't have to worry about stairs. But when I do, I have an appliance dolly. I get called when my cousin needs us to move some pinball machines. Yeah, sure.
But having something that walks up and down those stairs was so good.
Yep, definitely. Well, we've had it's been kind of an interesting couple of weeks.
It seems like it was like a tsunami. Everything came in at once, and then right now we're dealing with, I would say, lesser news releases. I mean, we're going to talk about accessories, toppers, and all that kind of stuff today. But yeah, it is. It's been different. It's been a different.
Yeah.
Oh, also one thing I do want to point out. So I actually went to our podcast evaluation or not evaluation, the ratings on iTunes, right? And we need some more ratings because the last one is like 3 years old. And one of them talked about one of us breathing like Darth Vader throughout the podcast, which I thought was kind of hilarious. But seriously, we would love it if you guys just go to whatever podcast thing and drop us a rating. Obviously appreciate 5-star, but we appreciate feedback in any ways of having to make the show better. So let's get some new ratings on there. And the reason why I say this is because podcasts come and go. But a lot of times when you're looking for that new podcast, total nerd rabbit hole here, I have started rewatching Babylon 5, which I haven't seen for like 30 years. And I would say I'm a marginal sci-fi fan, but I but I remember enjoying it back in college. And I found a podcast that has it's Babylon 5 for the first time, and they're going through it for the first time. And so it's really interesting. And they even pointed out that, hey, when you're looking for a podcast, a lot of times it doesn't really help out with the search algorithms. But if a podcast that you look up and you're like, I want to check those guys out, guys or girls, if it has more ratings or more reviews, then you're more likely to check that out. So anyway, I just appreciate it if you could go and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, also hit up This Week in Pinball. They still have their
absolutely
creators database, and send us one there too as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of This Week in Pinball, there's also Silverball swag. If you want to check out some of our shirts, the shoes are just
the shoes are on fire. Shoes on fire.
I can't wait for Expo this year. We'll be able to tell. It was like the hats. You go through Expo, like, yep. And then now it's gonna be the shoes, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so if I've learned one thing about pinball swag, is people don't really want shirts. They want something unique.
They also don't want crap. The bottom line is if you have if you put out cheap stuff, and I totally get it. Everybody has their own way of doing things. But my personal take is that I don't want to wear something that feels like a promo thing that costs $5 to make. The shirt's not comfortable, the hat's not or whatever. So we've certainly gone out of our way to make sure that we're putting something that you would be happy wearing every day. And really, to be fair, we're making very little on any of this stuff. I give out more stuff than we do anything. So if anything, we're net negative. And so we just want, people to have fun, have a fun time.
Definitely. That is silverballswag.com/loserkid. As simple as that. And also I want to give another shout out to Slam Tilt Podcast. I was listening to them today. They are wrapping up their, by the time we air this, it'll be done. But they were doing their, for Lyman Sheets, donations to the suicide prevention. And they gave us a shout out. They gave the Lions shout out because we had them on the last episode talking about Harry Potter. And so I just wanted to say thanks to Ron and Bruce for giving us a shout out. It's awesome what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And we have certainly been an advocate for people with the one thing that we share in life, it seems to me, is that the older I get, the more everybody feels isolated.
Yeah.
And so I'm going a little bit out in the weeds. And so at church, we were talking about the 90 and 9 and the sheep that's lost. And, the shepherd goes and finds the sheep. And I said, how many of us identify with the 99?
Definitely.
Nobody. We all identify with the lost one. And so if you're feeling that, one, recognize you're not alone. Two, there is absolutely no shame in saying I need some mental health issues, because again, your brain is just like any other part of the body, and it can have some issues that have things that need to be addressed. And counseling can help, talking to friends, reaching out. And if there's anything else, if you're thinking of harming yourself, please don't, and reach out.
Yeah. Yep. Well, check up on your friends. I don't know if we talked about this. Last week was rough, man. My mother-in-law went in for urgent surgery. A good friend of mine, his wife passed away. And another friend had his mom had to go in for surgery as well.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of a weird week last week. You just got to check up on people, life can change in a blink.
Yeah. We went down to St. George to help out with some family health issues. So absolutely.
Definitely. Let's get on to, we want to kind of review some Harry Potter thoughts. There were some extra thoughts. It's really been on the minds of everyone. I guess our episode kind of cracks some of the mystery we've been talked about throughout a couple different podcasts about what the line said, because Christian Line used to do a show, it was Christian and Sarah did, called The Super Awesome Pinball Show with Christopher Franchi. If you don't know Franchi did Batman 66, he did Munsters, he now did Godfather with JJP. He's on other future titles throughout the pinball industry because he's also did Galactic Tank Force. And so there were some nuggets that were dropped in there, like we never said a number, but this is definitely the most expensive
Yeah.
license in pinball history, flat out, bar none. We don't know a number, but we do know that like it's probably going to be touted once all this information comes out from Jersey Jack.
Beatles
It
was the old benchmark. Okay.
Yeah, which was a million for the license, right?
This eclipses that.
Yes.
It has to. And the bottom line is the Beatles are legendary, yes, but Harry Potter is legendary now.
Well, and
And so it still connects with today's audience. Even I know the Beatles
yes,
do, but you're going for a different demographic. You are going to pay a premium for this.
yes. Also, I know Christian kind of talked about it, but it kind of sounds like this license was kind of pulled out from under the rug on Stern.
Okay, so
Ish.
I thought more about that though.
Okay.
And so the one thing that I keep trying to think about is we know what the public face is, right? We know what the
Correct.
press release is. We know what
Yeah.
happens on the surface. Okay.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we know for sure is Joe Kamenkow got on Mother's Day and posted JJP has the license.
Yeah.
So end the speculation. Okay. So everything else beyond that is why. So I've been thinking a lot more about this. What did Stern know or think about the license that we don't know?
Yeah.
And so that leads me to think this seems to be an automatic thing. It's like, hey, do you want to sell tickets to Taylor Swift concerts? The answer is yes,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're going to sell a billion of them, right?
Yeah.
However, what if there were some caveats to that agreement that made it really not in your best interest to
Yeah.
do
True.
that? And so the question I have is, okay, there's obviously something, and it's not the money. I know that they would make up that money. Okay.
Definitely.
So
Yep.
let's even just say if Stern wanted to sell the game and charge an extra $500 for premium licensing credibility or whatever you want to say, right?
Yeah.
They could do that and they could sell easily 10,000 Harry Potter games. This theme has the chance of eclipsing Addams Family. It does, because you can like with the home market the way it is. A lot of people that I know are really interested in this game, and I've asked even casual people, okay, would you be interested in a Harry Potter pin? And every one of them said yes. So that tells me there's such a huge market for it. So there had to have been something that was an absolute no-go for Stern to decide that this was a license worth passing up.
So there are a couple things we can talk about.
Okay.
So Wonka
Yeah.
is licensed by the same people as Harry Potter. It's
Right.
Warner Brothers, and we saw how restrictive Wonka
Right.
was. I mean, it's Gene Wilder in the same pose like 6 different
Yeah,
times on the
and we
placement of
talked
that
about
glass.
this. This is
Yes.
like the lunchbox pose of Gene Wilder, and you're right. That was because that's what his family only allowed him to do, or the licensing, right?
Yeah. There's not much as of scenes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly like the chocolate factory working in the background with the stats up.
Right.
So there are a couple of scenes, but not a bunch. And artwork wise, like I said, they were very restrictive on what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
So let's apply that to Harry Potter. A more mega license
Mm-hmm.
that's more relevant. If Stern walked into this and saw how Bond went with a very restrictive licensor, we know that the licensor was a pain in the butt on this one, on Bond.
On Bond, yes, on Bond.
I wonder if it left a sour taste in their mouth. The other thing too is, people keep dancing around this. It's something that did tie into it, but yeah, also the bar scene. My understanding, there's a restriction to what a game can be on location. I don't know exactly what that restriction is, but it had something to do with like Stern didn't feel comfortable doing that to their machine,
Right.
to make up for whatever restriction they were coming out for. And so I wonder, I mean, Joe talked about this on our show 2 years ago when we
Mm-hmm.
had him on.
Yep.
He was going for Harry Potter then. He'd been going for Harry Potter a year before. I mean, this has been years and years in the making.
Right.
And so if there was some internal struggle going on at Stern, and finally JJP's like, we'll just meet all your requirements and we'll sign on it right now. That could have been, it might not have been most like the rug out from underneath them, but it still was like an internal struggle. And honestly, if you're having a heck of a time getting this license to agree to stuff and it's taking years and years and years to do so, uh, this is probably the best opportunity now to get it than any other time. So I think it's a good thing JJP got it, because if Stern couldn't agree on what the game should be,
Right.
this is probably the only time we would see a Harry Potter game, if that makes sense, because she's been softened up. She's ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
JJP is the best alternative to Stern for market penetration. That's the bottom line. Yeah, Stern,
Definitely. Yeah.
we know is the Goliath in the room,
Yeah.
and JJP is okay. You probably have Chicago Game Company in there too, but they only have one original license that's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And so JJP is the next likely selection, just based on they do know how to make a quality game, and it
Yeah.
looks great. And so I I'm not I don't think that Stern is going to lose sleep on this.
I don't think so either.
I bet they wish they could have had it under a situation that works for them.
Yep.
But there's no reason for them to compromise their business model significantly to appease one severe restriction
Yeah.
that completely affects their business. So
Definitely.
that's why okay. Full disclosure, I appreciate JJP games.
Yeah.
I do love what they do. I tend to have a little more fun with Stern,
Yep.
and I have way more Stern games than I do anything else. Um, it has a lot of them have more of that one more play feel, and there is something that makes me want to come back to them. So
Yeah.
if it were a JJP, if it were a Stern game, yeah, I'd probably get it, unless the cost was super prohibitive. For JJP, I want to see what it is, because some JJPs I really like and they're fun, but other JJPs just haven't hit that center for me. So that's where I'm a little I'm a little cautious, but that also gives me the freedom to say I want it or I don't. I'm not buying it sight unseen.
Definitely. And it makes me wonder too, we're going to get into this later about the used market.
Mm-hmm.
We're at least 2 years out from seeing this
Oh
game.
yeah.
So, so I don't know if you remember this before COVID, but the used market on a JJP was pretty comparable to like a new Stern Pro.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could get a Hobbit for 6,500 with no problem.
Yeah.
It just, my thing is 2 years from now, everyone's talking about there's definitely gonna be a price increase, and especially if this is the most expensive license in pinball history, there's gonna be some compensation for that. And so that's the thing, though. Like, how many people are gonna buy brand new out of the box, or just wait 3 months till you can buy it used off the secondary market?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to predict. The people are spending money outside the home again.
Yeah.
Like travel is way up, and
Yep.
so home renovations went crazy. Home entertainment options went crazy during COVID, and
Yeah.
we know that there people are going back to concerts. People are taking trips with their family. They're spending their money on other experiences right now, and that really has hurt the home environment.
Yeah.
And that may have some long lasting things. That COVID may have been a huge bump for pinball, but it could have also been a temporary blip.
It's true as well. So I guess overall with Harry Potter, we're excited to see what comes. My nervousness is it's quite a high bar regardless.
Yeah.
And so I fear for JJP. I hope that it doesn't become one of those situations that no matter what they reveal,
Yeah.
it's going to be a failure kind of thing, just because there's going to be such high expectations.
Yeah. And to be fair, like I am of the Star Wars generation. And when Stern was coming out with Star Wars, I was super excited and I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
So that totally can happen with any license. So
Yeah.
if there was a license that for me would have been automatic as is Star Wars, and I did pass on it, and that was a Stern game. So there's no guarantee.
And then speaking of JJP and future releases, we want to speculate on some upcoming titles.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like, I mean, listening to every other podcast
Mm-hmm.
and everything coming out, it sounds like Elton John's next from
Yeah,
Richie.
where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
where there's smoke,
come on.
there's fire. And so I'm really intrigued. I might not be a huge Elton John fan, but I am intrigued about this release because it's going to answer some questions that we've all had. Um, can Richie design when he doesn't have as restrictive as a build of material?
Mm-hmm.
Now that Pat Lawler's gone, and we know that Richie wouldn't be taking, slack from Lawler on his designs, um, are we going to see more mechs? Are we going to see a little bit different design to the playfields? Because it feels like the mechs have really been stripped out over the last 4 titles. They have been some
Okay,
good stuff.
well, okay, I'm going to push back because
Okay.
Black Knight, that Black Knight mech was really cool.
Sorry, I'm talking specifically about Jersey
Jersey
Jack
Jack.
games.
Okay, yes.
Because I mean, look at Godfather. You do have the sculpts are there,
Sure, but
but it's more of like a pop bumper
yep,
underneath. It's like an upside down pop bumper is the best way
it's
to
a cheaper
explain it.
mechanism. That's the bottom
Correct.
line. It's not. It's not a full featured. And I would say that's Black Knight should have been better. I think we can agree on that. That Black Knight should have had more. The upper playfield was a total disappointment. It was a
Yeah.
flat plexiglass with a the cannon launcher thing. That
Yeah.
really they should have ripped that thing out and put targets up there, or put something way more interesting up there. And so the question is, can Richie focus himself to use the build of materials in a way that makes sense? Because
Correct.
that's the Achilles heel from my perspective in the last few builds that he had.
Well, and I guess to my point is so like Toy Story only had the jump around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Wonka didn't really have much besides the spinning gobstopper, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And
Guns
that's
N' Roses
cosmetic.
did have,
That's cosmetic.
yeah, Guns N' Roses had the upper playfield and some diverters and stuff like that, and it did have flippers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, the last game you can think of was Pirates of the Caribbean with the triple spinning disc, which that was then taken out.
Right.
It had the chest that opened,
That
which
was
was then
taken
taken
out.
out.
Yeah.
You had the rocking ship. You have, and there was a lot on there, and it feels like they've gravitated away from that. So I'm interested to see what happens with the Richie design to
Mm-hmm.
see. And don't get me wrong, mechs don't equal amazing
Mechs don't
gameplay.
equal fun, but it does give you something extra to push you over the edge.
But I think when JJP's case, they're a very immersive experience. Whereas
Yes.
um, Stern games are more of a gameplay experience,
Mm-hmm.
and Elwin's bringing more of that immersive experience, like in Godzilla and Avengers and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's more gameplay versus moments, is how I'm going to put it. And JJP's definitely more moments than it is deep. Well, I don't want to say deep gameplay. The gameplay is definitely different
It's
there.
just varied. It
Yeah.
feels JJP feels a little bit more like I'm playing a board game with friends,
Yes.
and that's not bad. I like board games.
Yeah.
It is a different feel. Stern tends to have a little more of a go-kart feel,
Yeah.
where it's a little fasty, a little punchier, a little faster, a little punchier, and that's what I like from Stern. With JJP. All the games, they are fun, but it is different. It's like I'm doing a role playing thing. The
Yeah.
Hobbit is so immersive with that screen and the movie clips and all that. So
Yep.
great.
Definitely.
It still doesn't have the gameplay punch that I wanted.
But every time you start the Dragon multi-ball, the Smog multi-ball,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a cool moment. I mean, that's the thing is I feel like mechs lend themselves really well to JJP games, and I feel like they should start heading in that. Don't get me wrong. Don't cut back. Like I feel like Godfather shoots very well,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of good shots to it.
And I haven't played it yet, so I don't know.
There could be a complaint that there's almost too many shots because there's like 29 ball
Yeah.
paths, but I think we need to go back to those moments. I think that's what made JJP different and special. And I felt like we lost some of that with Toy Story, and we got it back with Guns N' Roses, but it just, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is I want to see, we're gonna see what happens, and it's let's see, when did Godfather release? In March.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the third month. If you add 9 months, because they're saying about every 9 months, we're gonna see we might see Elton John by the end of the year in December,
Mm-hmm.
a December release. So, and then speaking of another release, Stern's next one, which smoke where there's fire, right?
Yeah,
Venom.
it makes sense, right? We talked about this before at Comic-Con last year. It was super weird that they obviously pushed Venom because
Yes.
they had Ozzy there and Todd McFarlane, who is known for Spider-Man art.
Yep.
And it doesn't take a genius to say, why would these two be together? And it's
With a
obvious.
giant Stern logo
Right.
right behind them
Yeah.
on the booth. Like it wasn't much of a
Yeah.
stretch. Like,
It's obvious that it's going to be something that's Spider-Man related. And rumor has that the Venom is the deal. Having a comic book version of Venom, I think is better. It gives him more
yep,
opportunity. It's kind of like
yep,
the ultimate version of Spider-Man, the
yep.
Vault edition. It gives them a little more options and flexibility. And having an Aussie soundtrack is great for that. So yeah, I don't know. Here's the question though. Just on the theme and the art and the music, how interested are you in Venom?
Okay, so when you say art, has it hasn't been talked about yet? I'm pretty for sure Zombie Yeti's on this
Okay,
one.
if
I
it's
think
Zombie
he's
Yeti, then sure. But why would Todd McFarlane even be there then?
I think it's a team up. I
Okay,
think it's a Zombie Yeti Todd McFarlane team up. I don't think Todd did all of it.
okay, but
I
Todd
bet
has a very distinctive style.
correct.
I read comic books in the late '80s, early '90s. Haven't really read them since. But Todd had it's like the JJP GNR experience, right? There's
Yeah.
something different about that game that pulls you in. There was something different about Todd McFarlane art that pulled you in, and
Yeah.
can you mesh two or two different styles?
Yes.
Because Zombie Yeti and Todd McFarlane, they are completely different artists. Imagine Zombie Yeti and Christopher Franchi working together.
Well,
They have
but
very
here's the thing though is
different styles.
every pinball machine doesn't have just one singular artist. They usually do tap in and have some people like doing filler work.
Todd
I
McFarlane is
think
not
it
doing filler work.
I'm not saying Todd
Todd
McFarlane's doing
McFarlane
filler work,
bought Barry Bonds' 73rd home run ball for $10 million.
but obviously Zombie Yeti knows how to do a playfield layout art
Sure.
style. And so that's why I'm saying Todd McFarlane's done comic books.
Yeah.
I highly doubt he knows how to come in and fill out a playfield. That's where you bring in that's where you get the tag team, right? You get the art from Todd,
Mm-hmm.
but you also get the expertise of Zombie. I
Sure.
really think it's a collaborative effort there. This isn't confirmed, but like there's been some hints.
Yeah.
And I guess that's all I can say about that.
Yeah.
Uh, um
By the way, we
but
haven't seen Venom. We have no idea.
no,
Okay.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
Venom.
This is us just saying it's been around for so long that I would be utterly shocked if it were not Venom coming up.
Well, and like I said, that booth said Todd McFarlane, Ozzy Osbourne, and Stern
Yeah.
Pinball. All you had to do was put little plus signs
Yeah.
between those logos. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
it
By the
just
way, just for context, guess how much Todd McFarlane's worth? I just
I
googled
don't
it.
even
Just
I don't know.
guess.
4 million.
300 million.
Really?
300 million.
Yeah. Wowzers. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that is major league there.
hmm. That is.
That's only about 300 million more than I have.
Um the one that I'm thinking sorry. I don't know why it just reminded me. Rob Liefeld.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this
Well,
guy?
Rob
He's
Liefeld was he was the creator of Deadpool. He was of the same era. Like the
yeah.
four big artists of that era, and I know I'm going down a rabbit hole, was Todd McFarlane, Wilt Pertasio, Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee.
But what's funny to me is like Rob Liefeld, because he was so big, he even had like his designer Levi
Yeah, his button
jeans,
fly.
and it
Yeah,
was a commercial
yeah.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ever want a really good chuckle, go check out the 40 worst Rob
Oh,
Liefeld
he
drawings.
has no
Hi
idea about anatomy. Like
Oh,
he
it's
had
terrible.
muscles in weird places, but he had a
Yeah,
visual style that really worked. Uh, so he was very specific about like Deadpool and creating that character.
yeah.
Um, but
Which had to been a rip off of Deathstroke.
yeah,
Slade Wilson, Wade
sure,
Wilson,
sure, but it's
the
fine.
suits. I don't know.
It's
Anyhow,
fine. But Wills Portasio, I love the style of Wills Portasio. He was amazing. However, Jim Lee was the best anatomic one. Like he
yeah.
had a he. If you want to know how to draw super accurate comic book guys, go look at Jim Lee stuff.
Oh, definitely. Okay, back to
Okay. Meanwhile, back to
Venom.
pinball. Sorry,
Back
it's
to pinball.
30 minutes in, and we spent 10 minutes talking about pinball. Hey, but it was related. It was related
It
to
was
Venom.
definitely 100%. So, Brian Eddy, he's next.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian Eddy on Venom. I'm pretty for sure Dwight Sullivan's going to be tapped in on this one because he's up next as
Mm-hmm.
well, based off of everything. Um, how do you feel? How do we feel about Eddie? I'm going to go first. Like,
Okay.
I I appreciate Stranger Things. I think
Sure.
the problem is it got a lot of slack because it is very much
Avenge
Attack from
Mars.
Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, Avenge Mars, Attack from Mars esque
Mm-hmm.
layout wise. Even though the
Come on, it's
gameplay's
2.0.
it really is.
It really is.
Even the code,
It's a reskinned Attack from Mars. That's not bad. I own Attack from Mars, which is why I don't own Stranger Things.
and then I do enjoy Mandalorian. I think the problem is though, I feel like you only play really half of the play field because half of it or a quarter, the top right quarter is taken by the mini playfield, which is fine. That's part of the game. And then Baby Yoda takes the top left half. I know it's
Yeah,
like pop bumpers and like rollovers.
it's nothing. Yeah.
It's really not much. And so I'm hoping that this next iteration from Eddie shows us a little bit further of what he can do because I feel like Shadow was great. I mean, obviously Medieval Madness and Attack from our top tier
Mm-hmm.
games. I worry. I don't know. It just makes me chuckle because, like, what was it? 4 years ago, they announced Eddie was. Maybe it was even longer than that. Maybe it was 5 years ago. They announced Eddie was working at Stern,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember people like, mic drop. Stearns won the game. Like Stearns in the lead or
Right.
whatever. And it's funny because it doesn't really feel that way.
It.
And don't get me wrong, I enjoy Eddie. I appreciate what he's done for pinball and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anyone planned on what Elwin was going to do to the industry.
Right. It was Eddie and Elwin came in similar times, really.
Yes.
And Elwin has about the same amount of games as Eddie does now.
Yeah.
The challenge is, Elwin is the modern take on pinball.
Yes.
It has driven every other design into different directions. Eddie is it's kind of the retro design. The Stranger Things, I think, is a solid game. Mandalorian, I'm not a huge fan of gimmick playfields, and that's actually why
Okay.
I sold my Mandalorian, because the upper right with the playfield that goes up and down, okay, it's fine, but it feels like. Do you know what it felt like? It felt like Shrek, where you get
Okay.
the upper right, the mini
Yeah.
pinball, and it's
What is
kind of a
that? Is it
different.
donkey
Yeah,
donkey pinball?
yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
different, and same with Family Guy, whatever, same
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right? But it felt like, okay, this isn't really part of the game. This is like a side quest, but it takes up so much real estate.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he can. And if you look at the other things, Medieval Madness is not that way. There's not really a gimmick side area. There's great shots in that. Attack from Mars has great shots. So I'm curious to see what his next design is, but I'm totally undecided. This is one of those where I'm going to have to see it. To
Definitely.
order it or play it or to buy it. I have to
Well, I'll
play it. I
definitely
have to
play it.
see it.
Yeah,
So it's yeah. I think the jury's still out. I guess I'll put it that way.
definitely. Speaking of Elwyn, let's talk Godzilla Topper.
Okay, let's talk about toppers. Okay.
Or do you want to let it breathe for a second? We can hurry and talk about the one other Elwyn thing I wanted to
Okay,
talk
go
about
ahead.
really
Go ahead.
quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to talk about there's something that Elwyn's done in his games recently that I don't think we kind of take for granted a little bit. The 180 ramp is redefining pinball as like how we're taking out pop bumper nests.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the 180 ramp does something very unique that has expanded on pinball, and the reason being is you get a lot of bang for your buck in a very small area.
Right.
And so, like with Jurassic Park, it creates a lot more real estate, but it creates a very dynamic shot right in the middle of the playfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then like look on Godzilla, the back left ramp is actually one of those 180 ramps that
Mm-hmm.
flips it back. It's so perfected that typically a shot like this could either clunk or it would be very hard to hit. It would reject a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they've perfected it and just made it smooth. And in the past, I've been thinking about this. In the past, this shot was only accomplished by a vertical up kicker.
Mm-hmm.
You would shoot it into a saucer, and then that saucer would be hit by a vertical up kicker. And that, which I mean, look at my best example would be like Doctor Dude when you're shooting I think it's not the heart ramp. It's one of those, but you'd shoot into a saucer and then a vertical up kicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same idea.
So it's Simpsons Pinball Party. You shoot in the garage, you have to wait for it to kick up.
Correct. You're cutting out time for the ball to be moving.
Mm-hmm.
You get faster movement. Your bomb is lower because you're cutting out a coil, which
Mm-hmm.
and then that's node board space. I think there's as I'm dissecting more and more of Elwyn's games,
Mm-hmm.
there's just little nuances like that because we don't have a vertical up kicker in that spot. That means that's money that can be spent somewhere else on the playfield. And so this is why Elwyn is smart when he designs, because he's taking things like this, applying into the game, and which then you can put more into the game. And that's why we get Godzilla. I can't wait for his next game. Like I'm really excited. Like I'm excited. Iron Man is here on Friday. But I
Iron
just
Maiden.
yeah, my Iron Maiden's here on
Yeah, you
Friday.
said
Coming
Iron
up on Friday.
Man.
Sorry, Iron Maiden. And then whenever he releases his next one, which rumor being is first of the year.
Jaws. Jaws.
Well,
Yeah.
Jaws too.
Yeah.
But first of the year is probably when we're going to see it ish. So
You hit on something that's really important, and the three dimensionality that Elwyn has brought to the design process, where it's not like he's designing a complete flat playfield. I mean, everyone has habit trails, everyone has everything like that, but
yeah,
the velocity at which he incorporates the 3D space above the playfield is what has made him be the new king of flow.
yep,
He really is. The ball does not stop. You can keep that ball flying around, and it creates that kinetic momentum that we're all craving for in pinball. So that's exactly what it is. And think about the economy of a shot. It basically takes something that could have been a scoop shot and makes it into a very dynamic high flow shot. And I will say the vertical, the reversey ramps, they don't clunk. They don't. There's so much velocity of those things going in that it just flies. So absolutely, if there's one thing that has changed the game for pinball, it's the velocity at which you are playing constantly by his economy of design.
couldn't have said better. So, all right, let's move on to this Godzilla topper.
Okay. 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 Am I an idiot? I am actually buying the topper.
Okay.
I'm buying the topper because it's a game that I'm going to keep for a long time. Like I don't see me selling Godzilla really anytime soon, if ever.
I agree. Okay.
So
Same
my
here.
thought was, okay, if I want to buy it, I should buy it now. Okay.
Yep.
The the challenge that I have with Stern's approach to toppers and their accessories is that I wish they had the same commitment to excellence and quality and value for their accessory kit that they do for their machines. When
Okay.
you buy a game, yes, okay, it's still expensive, right? I mean, these are small cars here. It's still expensive, but I'm buying this game, and compared to what else is out there, I'm getting a higher quality, higher fun game for 2,000 cheaper than I'm getting other options.
Yeah.
So why don't they have a dedicated team that all they're doing is making cool looking stuff?
I
And
agree.
the topper, they have disguised their toppers by adding a boatload of lights. So they have become Walmart displays and end cap toppers. That's what they've become. Where
Okay.
you go into Walmart, there's an end cap, which is the premium real estate in the store, right? Because everybody walks past the end caps.
Yeah.
So there's something that's eye catching. So yes, it still accomplishes the job. You see Godzilla, but my gosh, is it not exactly the same Godzilla that's on the playfield already?
I'm pretty for sure it is
It
that same
looks
model.
exactly the same. And
Yeah.
and
I'm
and so you have this exactly the same. You have this smoke fire thing that they stole from the Adams family and put up there. They have are the tanks aren't even 3D, right? They're like plastic to
they're flat
yeah,
plastic.
they're
Yeah.
flat plastic. Uh, okay, I will say A plus for all of Elwin's games. My gosh, his toppers like that Stern produces for his games are the laziest toppers ever.
Yeah.
They are super lazy. Like the Godzilla or the Jurassic Park topper, you know what? There were better alternatives out there. There really were.
Yeah.
And I understand the better alternatives weren't paying licensing. They were, they were certainly operating in a gray area if that is even a thing, because they were unlicensed. And so they had
Yeah.
a lot more freedom to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
But they at least provided something that was visually more interesting. And I will say the Infinity Quest topper, it's fine, it's layered, but it's 2D lights. It's 2D plastic with a whole bunch of lights, which still, yeah, it looks good from a distance. But man, when you compare these to any topper that Chicago Gaming Company has done, it's laughable. They
Yeah.
they they look like they they look like they are not putting forth the effort. I appreciate that they have gone to the effort of putting art blades, which I know it's eye candy, right? But they
Yeah.
look good. Like the only art blades that I didn't like really were Mandalorian art blades, because it was just the heads. But that's a style question, right? It just
Yeah.
wasn't my thing. But if you look at the topper game that they're bringing, it's just not there. And everybody says it. Okay, vote with your wallet, which is fine. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to buy it because I want a complete game. But there are some parts of their games that I like. I did not buy the shooter rod, the Godzilla
Yeah.
Egg shooter rod, because I actually bought two shooter rods, which were cool, but they don't really help out gameplay. Like the
Yeah.
shooter rod on Infinity Quest, the shooter rod on Jurassic Park, I use the button anyway to launch anyway.
Yeah.
And the shooter rod that they used for Avengers Infinity Quest, the the spring is the wrong spring. You full plunge it and it doesn't even do that. So the question is, why don't they have a dedicated team? They are making so much money off this stuff. And I totally understand, this is me being a fanboy who is complaining, but having $1,000 topper for a game that costs 10 to 15% of a game,
Yeah.
there does come a point where you're thinking, wow, you really are just fleecing people who just have more money than they know what to do with. And
So,
so maybe my bar should be higher for toppers, and I should give games a little more of a pass.
man, you were getting kind of worked up
Whew.
there, like the deep root conversation.
No, it's just
For
okay.
a man buying this
I
topper, he
know.
sure
I still think it will. Okay, the fire mode in the back actually looks kind of cool. It really does.
yeah,
It has the fire thing going up on the buildings. It does make it feel like a complete game. They do put a lot of lights interaction in it, so that is
yeah,
something to do it. But the gap between what I want them to make in a topper and what they are making is wide.
yeah. Okay, we got to take into consideration though that okay, if Zombie Yeti is on Venom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just did Foo Fighters. That's back-to-back releases.
Yeah.
And a year or two ago, he had Avengers and Turtles,
Mm-hmm.
which were back-to-back releases. So obviously, Zombie Yeti is at max capacity right now,
Sure.
right? And to keep these toppers cohesive, he is the one doing the topper art as well. Because he talked on Turtles, he actually tapped.
His
He
daughter,
he
yes, his
yeah,
daughter
he brought his dog.
did a guest art. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the thing is the toppers are an afterthought.
Oh, a complete afterthought, which is why I'm saying, why don't they have a topper team? Like, have three people on it.
I agree, but who do you tap to be your artist then to keep it cohesive? Because Zombie Yeti, you still have to do the art, and really those toppers are mostly art with some light.
Well, okay, but that's what they've defaulted to.
Yeah. So
If they had a better like Godzilla sculpt up there, then you don't really need Zombie Yeti. Like, I guarantee Zombie Yeti didn't do the Godzilla doll in there.
true. So I guess that does bring you would either have to step up your game to the point that you're doing nothing but 3D models, you're going the CGC
Yeah.
route, and you're putting behind the cohesiveness of the art. Like if you're doing 3D models, it's probably going to be cohesive anyway. But yeah, I agree with you on that point. Like, and it's so weird to me because these accessories come out and then like they release like once a year.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And then like we don't see them again for another year or so
Yeah.
like that. I don't fully understand. Like, is it just a side project, a side
I
hustle for Stern?
Yeah, however, they
I
could make, okay, this is me again. I will pull out my Josh Sharp fact checking red card and say I have nothing to back my statements up. Okay, I don't work.
yeah,
I don't work in marketing. I haven't
yeah,
done the analysis on it.
yeah,
However, when Medieval Madness decided to up their game for their topper, I bought their topper, which
yeah,
was like 750 or 800, and it is a 3D sculpt that has lights on it, right? That's all, and it looks so good. And you can't tell me that you can't do a similar thing for a decent profit margin. If you, you could buy a $300 Godzilla toy and glue it to the top of your game, and it would look
yeah.
more like it would look more connected to the game than having a zip tied Godzilla up there.
So I think here's where everyone's having the issue. It doesn't look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look okay. I won't say it doesn't look terrible, but
Okay, I would say it. Okay, it's a Toyota Corolla. It's
okay.
functional. It looks fine. It gets you from point A to B. But would you rather have that, or I don't know, a Corvette?
Yeah. But my point being is like I think this is where people are having an issue is either go the $1,000 price tag and build
Right.
quality. Like I didn't hear any like yeah, two grand was a lot for a Mandalorian
Yeah,
topper,
and I will say that that wasn't for me. That was a bridge too far.
but didn't. They may have complained about the price, but I didn't feel like they complained about the quality of the topper.
Mm-hmm.
Either you gotta understand, like a lot of people are new into this hobby. Stern toppers went to $1,000 with what? Like it wasn't even Black Knight sort of rage. It was after that.
Yeah.
It's only been in the last 2, 3 years.
Yeah.
And even then, an expensive topper, which was the Black Knight topper, was $650 brand new out of the
Hmm.
box. And that's a pretty
Actually,
amazing
wasn't it
topper.
450 to start with?
I don't think it was, but I think the toppers before the flat plastic one, so like the Deadpool one,
Yeah.
was $400.
Yeah.
And so it's like either go back to the $400 price tag and do flat plastics,
Hmm.
or meet the quality of the $1,000 price tag. But here's
Right.
the problem:
People are buying it.
uh,
Yeah.
people are buying
I
it. So
totally
what?
get
Why?
it. I totally get it.
Why is there any motive for Stern? Apparently,
Right.
they can take the toy off of Godzilla's playfield. They're like, oh, we'll just produce more of these,
Hmm.
slap it on a topper with some LEDs and some flat plastics, and there's $1,000.
Okay.
And
Okay. Just looking at the picture of the topper again, do you know what it looks like? It looks like
what?
Godzilla is an elf and talking to Mr. Narwhal before he hops off on the iceberg. That's what it looks
Yeah,
like. It's Mr.
kind of
Narwhal
does.
popping out of the top of the Godzilla game.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just, well, I guess, are they selling though? Because I've heard from some
I
distributors
know some
they
people
can't
have
keep them in
I
stock.
know some people have backed out. Now,
Yep.
are they still
I've heard other
making?
just
Maybe they're making what they want out of it.
true. But my point being is like, so I heard some distributors can't keep these in stock. I've heard other distributors, they're trying to pawn this, get other distributors to buy it because they can't sell them at all. So it's this weird mix of like some are selling, some are not.
It- the-
Some are embarrassed to even be having this product because they don't feel like it matches the quality of what a Star product should be. If your distributor feels that way, you should rethink things. Like,
yeah, it's I just wish that you're right. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy topper, which they're not even making anymore.
yeah,
I mean, that was it's $400 or something, and it
yeah,
completed the visual aspect of the game, and I'm not really complaining about that one.
yeah.
The other ones, it feels like they've gotten lazier and more expensive.
I agree. I think if you made a flat plastic, if you went into the topper game right now, I know everyone wants to go bigger and better because the first thing I saw after this was announced was like three other mod companies like, check out our Godzilla the topper, it's better. Whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, if you really want to make some money, maybe you won't. You just 3D print a bunch of flat plastics and stick it on a topper with some LEDs and sell it for $200, $300.
Yeah.
Don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't know. The
I've
Measle Mods has one that you can put up there that's cheaper, and that is
yeah,
licensed.
definitely.
So
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to there's a topic that I've wanted to hit for a couple episodes now.
okay.
I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about it. And maybe they are. I don't know. Uh, my pinball podcasts lately have been very narrowed down. I do listen to pinball podcasts, but it feels like the content's not being put out as much anymore
Hmm.
as well. Anywho, the topic at hand, I want to talk about the used market.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Um, we've seen a decline definitely in the last 6 months.
Hmm.
Um, I will start off by saying though, I don't think everyone keeps saying the bubble's going to burst. I think for the bubble to burst, um, like that means we're going back to ground zero. I just don't see that happening with pinball. I don't see.
If
I know
it
that
flattens, that's what's going to happen.
it does
It's going to
flatten.
flatten and
It's
depress a
going to
little bit,
flatten,
like the housing
correct.
market.
But I don't think we see the mid 2000s of where like used pinball machines were just being thrown in the trash
Hmm.
versus being.
Or
I mean, people still
throwing
want to
off a
restore
roof.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we get back to that point where you can get a pinball machine for like $500.
Hmm.
That's a modern pinball machine. Um, Definitely EM all day. But what I'm seeing now, and mates, because I've just been trying to sell pinball machines, which I'm now glad that the machines I need sold are gone because it's been a pain in the neck. It really has. Um, I had one person offer me half of what I was asking for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Half. Like, and when I didn't even want to, all the emotions that came with that, I just said no.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even justifying you with like a very wordy text. Let's just put it that way.
Right. No. No thanks.
That's not so friendly. And they were ballsy enough to write back, well, if you change your mind, we're more than happy to take it off your hands.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to save this person next time they're selling. Like, I'm just going to hit them for every ad on Facebook and be like, hey, will you take half? Will you take half? I'll take it
Okay.
off your hands.
I will say that's By the way, I just sent you a few links to some 3D options for
Oh,
that.
okay.
There's basically things that you could just glue on the top of your machine and it would look better
Uh,
for
yep.
$100.
Yep.
There are people who are okay. I would say aggressive shoppers out there, and there's a
Yes.
tactic that,
Yeah.
and I a tactic that if you on eBay it says a surprise. I actually saw this about a week ago. A surprisingly effective strategy for
Okay.
it was like or best offer, and it said 50% of what they're asking, and it was like a
Okay.
straight 50% because you're not going to get tons of hits, but you're going to get enough where people are like, yeah, okay, I just want to sell it. So I
Yeah.
think that you're getting a lot of people who have that tactic that
Oh,
they're just they're shooting 50% out there and just see, it's like throwing the fishing line in the water to see
yeah.
what happens. And
Definitely.
sometimes you may get that owner who's like, I just want to get rid of it and move on. I got our house for actually a really good deal. Like we walked into about 50,000 in equity. And
Yeah.
what happened is that they listed the house and they just wanted a quick sale.
Yeah.
So it ended up that we saw like the house was on the market for 4 days and they had 4 offers.
Yeah.
So I understand. However, I will say it feels a little bit like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yep.
so I don't know.
And like I don't know. Like I had people offering me $800 less than I was asking. But at that point, and then I feel like I can counter back. Like,
Sure.
yeah, it's a little low, but this is where I can go. There's some negotiation room. When you're taking $3,700 off of a pinball
Well,
machine,
but
no
that's
way.
what it is. It's a straight 50%.
Yeah.
They are not because they say you're actually getting your success rate is higher on offering 50% than it is on offering 60% or 70% because it's a quick, easy calculation for the owner.
Okay. Okay.
It's a weird tactic. I totally understand why you can be miffed on something that you're trying to sell for $7,000 and they're offering
Yeah.
3,500, but it is a well-known tactic.
So, and I think the other thing, okay, I've got some cold hard facts. Let's go
Okay,
through
let's
these
do
really
this.
quick about the used market. You and I were
Market
discussing this.
trends.
You and I were discussing this before the
Right.
episode. Um, unless if you're an Elwyn,
Mm-hmm.
let's go. Let's hit Godzilla because Godzilla is in second place right now to Foo Fighters
Mm-hmm.
because that's the
Wow.
newest
Okay.
one. Yeah.
That's some great inflation right there.
So we all know once the new hotness comes out, it always goes number one. Okay, Godzilla. There are 8 for sale on the market right now. This is we're doing everything through Pinside. I'm
Sure.
not going. Okay, the cheapest right now for sale that it doesn't have a pending is $9,900.
Mm-hmm.
And you can. It looks like they're floating around 99, 10K, 10.7, 10.5. So it looks like L1 game, like Godzilla, obviously is about or higher than new in box, which is what we've seen for the last
Mm-hmm.
couple of years. All right, the one that has let's already talk about what was the other one that I was talking about, Iron Maiden.
Mm-hmm.
So because my Iron Maiden Pro is going to be here on Friday, I was curious. There are 4 on the market. Out of those 4, the very base one is $7,000, and it goes all the way up to 8,700.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good margin, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's still at a new in box or higher. Okay, the one that I was in because we've talked about this. I know you feel that Ninja Turtles isn't a fantastic game, but uh, I I prefer the Pro over the Premium, and I think that's what soured you was the
The
Premium, right?
premium. Well, it didn't help that my glider malfunctioned within like a week of me buying it.
Correct. So a Turtles Premium, the very base right now, mind you, they're not making these anymore. So I can't say like new in box should be around 9,700 because that's what premiums are going for
Sure.
right now, right?
Okay. If it were
So
if
let's
it were on the line today, it would sell for
if it
that.
were on the line today, but let's even go back to 6 months ago. you're at not 8 grand. You're at 9 grand, right? That's brand new out of the box because there was a $700 increase. The base right now, well, the base right now is 7,100, and that is sitting.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even that's a price of a pro new in
Okay, well,
box.
I read this off Pinside that there is a pro, a very well modded pro,
Yes.
including the topper on Turtles for 6,500. So
That's
if
insane to
you
me.
want a Turtles, buy this now.
Yeah. A lot of these other premiums are sitting around 8,300,
Yep.
8,400. I mean, we're still lower than new in box. It is what it
Right.
is. Nick
Which is
Stone,
what it should be. To be
yeah,
blunt, a used game should go for 500 to 1,000 less than new, and it
yep.
should. That's what the market should be.
Um, let's pull up Mando's really quick.
Okay.
This is exciting. Everyone's like, oh,
Well, we can cut this part out.
actually, will you look up Mandalorian? I'm gonna
Yep.
hurry. I want to talk Avengers because Avengers is still an Elwin game,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's considered probably okay out of the top 100. It's his lowest rated out of the top
Yeah. What is it?
100.
15 or 16?
19 now.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
I know. Life is
How,
rough when you're in at 19, I
how
guess.
many does Steve
Okay,
Rich? How many does Steve Ritchie have in the top 10?
yeah. Let's talk premiums right now.
Yep.
You're looking at a base 7,400. I mean, one just sold at 7,800.
Yeah, 8,000.
There's
So I see a 7,000 premium with mods.
yep.
I see that.
7,300. Where are you seeing the 7,000? That one's 7,800. It's kind of crossed out though.
No, there's the seven. There's another one, 6,950.
So if you're looking for an Avengers
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no,
premium,
I'm looking at Mandalorians. You were looking at
oh sorry, Uh,
Avengers.
yeah, I heard him brought up Avengers while you were looking at
Oh, okay,
Mandalorians.
sorry.
But my point being
We'll
is
just
this
cut
is an
that out,
Elwin
and
game.
you can tell your part.
I probably won't.
Okay, all right.
But this is an Elwin
Yeah,
game, and the base is 7,400. They're still making
yeah,
these brand new off the line. It's going to be
right.
$9,700. I mean, that's a 7,400. That's a $2,300.
Yeah,
You know,
which again
shipping.
that's reasonable.
I wonder how much shipping plays into this as well. Because last
Oh
time I
yeah,
checked your
shipping
shipping
is
was ridiculous.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, where you
and
could use
also it's kind of a pain. I brought this up last time that I my biggest hurdle to selling a game is I just hate the game of selling and
yes,
dealing with people who are offering $3,000 for a $12,000 game.
yep,
I just hate that. I sold my Mandalorian so I could buy Cactus Canyon. So that's
yep.
what happened there. But it was to a friend, so that was pretty easy. Yeah. So yeah,
uh,
getting back to Mandalorian, but yeah,
yes, I
you're
just pulled up Mando with you.
yeah
Yeah, 7,000.
7,000. Yeah.
If you're in North Carolina area, you want a
Hey, there's one
Mando?
in
That's
Louisiana that you can get for $50 less.
good, criminy. And there's also 8 on this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to see a flood of the market. I don't know if it's because
There's a 9,000
people
with animated Grogu. So
mm, nice.
okay, so in fairness, that's what I you should anticipate spending 500 to 1,000 less for a home use only uh, uh, game
Yep.
from what the line is. So I think that's reasonable to expect that. Um, now,
But I think the days are gone of we're going to spend 9,700 on a new unbox and get 9,700 out of it
oh
used.
yeah, no, in very few games will do that, and it's because this is Econ 110, boys and girls. Once the
Yeah.
supply catches up with demand, there will be an adjustment to the curve, and the $4 trillion rain checks are not coming in anymore. The economy stimulation has been spent.
Yep. and some of you spent your money unwisely.
Yes, yes. You spent poorly. Yeah.
So, but like I said, there's going to be some bright spots, right, in the used market. The Stranger Things is still going to sell high.
It will,
They
but
didn't make a
okay,
ton of
that's
them,
the
and it
supply
got
and demand. Just
yep,
getting
supply
back
and
to
demand.
supply and demand. The demand may not be as high for Stranger Things as it is for Godzilla, but the supply is way lower.
Correct.
Even though I think they
So
should remake it, to be blunt.
so I think that should be something we should be talking about. Is like because I hear a lot of people getting frustrated with the market,
Mm-hmm.
in the fact that like new inbox prices are still pretty high,
Yeah.
and they don't seem to be trending down at all.
No.
Um, but that's the thing though, is like the used market is coming down, and as people start turning towards the used market instead of buying new in box,
Mm-hmm.
because that was kind of the joke with Harry Potter. Like it's going to come out new. Let's say it comes out like the base model is $15,000, but I'll just wait 3 months and get it for 10. I mean, Hobbits are going for like 8,500 right
Yeah,
now.
they are.
I remember when you could used to get them for
That
6,500.
that feels about right for a Hobbit. It does. 8,500 feels about right.
True. But my point being is that's what we're going to see for a little while. I'm sorry, I had to pull up Bond. I
Oh,
had to.
okay. So what is Bond selling for?
Okay, there's seven on the market right now.
Ugh.
5,600.
For premium?
If you no, this is a
Oh,
pro. For some odd reason, oh, they must not produce premiums yet because there's not even a premium slot on
no,
the top 100.
there's a premium. Like
Well, I know there's a premium,
what?
but if you want a Doctor No Pro, 5,600.
Yeah.
No, I was looking it up via. Guess
Okay, so
where at on the top 100 Bond sets?
99. Yeah,
73.
it's just I Bond should have been so much better. I'm sorry, it really should have been. Okay, there is a Bond premium for 7,800. There's a
That's insane for a brand. That game's been out not even a year yet.
Yeah, and that's sad.
So, y-
It's well, okay. So what about Bond 60? What's that going for? Because I know that's
um,
dropped a little bit.
oh, that's a good question.
Okay, Bond 60, pulling it up.
While you're looking that up, though, that's crazy to me that I mean 5,600 for a James Bond
Hmm.
Pro. Seriously, if you're looking for a Bond Pro, this is the way to go.
Yeah,
LEs are still set, and they've got 8 ads on here.
yeah. But Bond
Oh, sorry,
60 is
there's currently
around
13.
17 to 18,000, and that's where you're
Yeah.
going.
And like I said, some of these there is a total flood of the market,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
There is like the Turtles Premium. I'm pretty for sure. Let's see. Oh, I guess there was only 7 ads. There is one. Maybe it was Avengers. There's like 21 of them sitting on the market, and you can go into Pinside and see how many games are sitting there
Hmm.
of these games. I think that's like you said, Econ 101. We're starting to see the market catch up, and so the collection's not valued where it was, but I think people are going to be a lot more choosy now when
Yes.
they go to get their new games. They are not going to just buy sight unseen. Um, I mean, I guarantee that because we're seeing a lot of that drop off. Yeah, like I
Hmm.
said, Avengers. There's 21 of them on the market right now for premiums,
Hmm.
and there's some pretty nice ones. I mean, there's one for 7,300 on here, tricked out. I mean, is what it is, guys
Yep.
and gals. Um, so yeah, that's where we're heading. Uh, New in box, it's probably still staying strong, but the used market is definitely coming down. We're getting into a buyer's market, if you guys are looking for that pinball machine you want,
Right.
used might be the way to
You're
go.
still not going to get a crazy deal unless someone just trying to unload their stuff, because the bottom line is once the prices drop a certain amount, people is like, oh, I'd just rather keep the game.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I would say a safe value is to say if you can get it between, okay, we're taking shipping out of the equation, but if you can get
Okay.
it for 1,000 to 1,500 below what MSRP is, then I think that's a decent deal. If you're below 1,500, then wow, you're certainly uh, you're trending into a great deal, especially if it's a home use only. But that's really where the market should always be.
Yeah. Well, really, a 10 to 20% decrease from new in box isn't terrible. I mean, new cars, you definitely take a bigger hit, at least 30% or more, the second you drive it off the lot.
Yeah.
So, and title, like I said, title's going to make a difference. Rarity is going to make a difference. So you're going to start seeing some more, Attack from Mars and Medieval Madness floating back up to the top price wise and stuff like that. So I think that pretty much does it as far as your used market. I mean, there's your market trends, people.
Yep.
If you want those used games, you can go out and get them. I want to do one more shout out before we shut this down.
Okay.
Don's Pinball podcast, if you haven't checked this out yet, is like a 30-minute stream of the subconscious. Don by himself just talking at you about current topics and just opinions and shouting out locations. It's very well done. I want to say it's very well produced. I would say that we're more of a raw podcast. Where he's more,
we're more of a conversation podcast, and we tend to lean heavily on interviews. So and that's where our angle is. This is just a new fan, which is fun to get someone who is new exposed to the world of pinball, and that excitement that you get when you first start a new hobby. You can definitely feel it with him. So go check it out. I actually sent him a quick message. I was like, hey, good for you. Like doing a solo podcast for 30 minutes. That's way more effort than I'm willing to do.
Yeah. So it's good. He's a lot more positive on some things that
he's also family friendly too. So if you're looking for another podcast that you can listen with the kids.
Yeah. One that's not family friendly, that both these podcasts have cited us as part of their inspiration, which I feel shocked that anyone listens to us and be like, I'm listening to Lizard Kid and I should do that too. But Pinball Party, Jason from Pinball Party incited us.
Awesome. Yeah.
And he is definitely not family friendly at all.
Okay, the beautiful part of this is like movies. You're going to find movies that fit for every demographic. So good for you, right?
But his show's really good too. It's highly produced as well.
We are on YouTube. If you're super bored and want to look at two extremely sexy dudes talking into microphones, definitely you can check out our YouTube link. But if you have any questions, please reach out. Let us know your thoughts. If you have any hot takes or if you just want to let us know that we're way off on some of our takes, then we always want to hear the feedback. So
definitely. So if you want to get a hold of us, we are loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all at loserkidpinball. And if you want that sweet, sweet swag, is silverballswag.com/loserkid. We do this every couple weeks, give or take. And I don't know. Anything else, Scott?
No, if there's a topic you want us to cover, shoot us a message.
Definitely. I know we've got a couple interviews coming up, like we always do. But it's nice just to stop and smell the roses and shoot the pinball breeze occasionally.
All right, y'all take care.
Shut up and sit down.